This week, we welcome back Kaydra from Perplexity, a mystery podcast, to discuss Jordan Peele's second film, Us. Hey, welcome back.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. We love having you, and we love being on your show as well. And if you'd like to tell the audience a little bit about your show real quick, just in case they didn't see the previous episode.
Yeah, that would be great. So I host Perplexity, a mystery podcast. I have guests on my show sometimes also, but other times it's just me. And I cover all things mysterious. So if you like unsolved mysteries, if that's your jam, you'll find things like that over on my show, true crime, paranormal, things like that. And I release new episodes every Wednesday. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. And I'm in my 4th season right now. So you will have plenty of things to binge. And yes, Alex and Stephanie were on one of my episodes I think it was in like towards the beginning of season 3. Anne Hamilton Byrne, we covered The Family. It's a cult in Australia. And that was an absolutely insane episode.
Yeah. I just remember her forehead tragic.
Oh my God. Yeah. Someone was like, that is a 5-head girl.
Oh no. That was the real crime, honestly.
Right. The real tragedy of it all.
But yeah, I would love to have you guys. And if you find me from 13 Degrees of Screams, let me know. I always like to know where you guys come from.
Kaydra, would you mind telling us why you picked us?
Oh my gosh. So I love Monkey Paw Productions and Jordan Peele. The first film I ever saw of his was Get Out and loved it, loved Nope. But Us is probably my favorite out of those 3. And I've watched it several times. I just think that it's such a unique concept, and doppelgangers are also like one of the scariest concepts to me. So
Right.
I thought it would be a really cool one. And then Jordan Peele, it's also just like, he's a very easy director to get into like philosophical discussion about. His plots are so like, I wonder, what about this? And like so many theories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I've watched this probably 5 or 6 times now over the years since it came out. And every time I'm like, wait, she does this. What does that mean? Like, she's eating a strawberry, and I'm like,
yeah, what does this mean?
Right. She's a rabbit. What?
The red string.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly. I'm connecting it. I have a full bulletin board behind me. So Peele has said that the inspiration for Us was from the Twilight Zone episode Mirror Image, which was centered on a young woman and her evil doppelganger. And I wanted to know what you guys both thought of the twist. Like, does it hold up for you with repeated watches, or it just kind of gets a little bit more boring now that you know?
It definitely holds up for me. So when I rewatched it last night, so it would be fresh in my brain, one of my friends was watching it with me, and she was like, I will say I saw the twist coming. And I was like, really? I didn't. So for her, that was like the one thing that she said fell a little flat. But I remember watching it in theaters and not seeing the twist at all. And I just, again, think it's such a unique concept, in my opinion. So it holds up for me. And I also think a lot of that is because Lupita just kills that character.
Right.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
love her in this.
For me, it still holds up, but I don't even think the twist matters all that much in the sense of the whole movie is so well done that, like, even if you know what the twist is, like, you're still going to your point, Steph, you're still going to find little things, question little things. So, like, yeah, you know what happened to Adelaide and Red. Yeah. It doesn't really, like, matter because the rest of the film is so well done that it doesn't, like, rely on that twist.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about you, Steph?
I love it more and more each time just because I like going into the fact of knowing that she switched from the beginning, because then you can try to decode all of those nuances there, all of those weird things. Like every time I watch it, I notice that her relationship with Jason, her son, is so much different than her other child, Zora, and her husband. Like they're so much closer. She's much more concerned with where he is, if he's running off.
I just didn't know if you were lost or taken or
by terrorists and perverts.
Stick with me. I'll keep you safe, okay?
And I can always, argue to the other side as well that could just be a mother's love. He's her baby, whatever. But I just love thinking about the possibilities of maybe he's also tethered.
Yes, there's a bunch of theories about that. I was kind of going through a rabbit hole online last night. No pun intended, rabbit, But yeah, that was an interesting thing. And then there was a Reddit thread I found, and it was talking about all the different reasons why they thought it was an interesting theory. Like the fact that Jason's tethered, Pluto, already was familiar with the magic trick. He saw the little object in his hand and immediately was trying to get it to work.
He knew what to do, yeah.
He knew what to do. And he said he had left it at the cabin they were staying at, or the beach house, whatever, the year prior. And there's several things with just how she interacts with him that make you wonder where he came from. And then I also wondered about the burns on his face. And then he ends up dying in fire. So
yeah. They also refer back to the cabin as we haven't been here since Grandma passed, and Jason needs to go to the beach. So I was wondering, did something happen last time aside from the grandmother's passing where they switched unknowingly? Maybe even Addie fostered that so then she would have the more normal looking Jason. I don't know.
Oh, I guess one of my criticisms with the movie is just how the tethered work, in the sense of sometimes they're walking in lockstep with their counterpart, but when they're on the roller coaster, they're just in that hallway, just So it's how much of their movements are actually mirrored versus just similar, because that would explain why Jason knows how to use the trick if his counterpart is doing it, if that makes sense, Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To me, if I think about it too much, I'm wait a minute.
None of it makes sense and everything makes sense all at the same time.
Exactly.
That is one thing I was thinking about, is it would be so cool if either A, they went a little bit more into the background of how they were created, or B, they literally made a prequel. Because I was so curious about that. Red hints at there being a lot of experimentation for how they came to be. And I'm assuming that's why the rabbits were there in the first place, because they were doing animal testing on them down there. So it'd be really cool to find out, why were they doing this? How did it come about? What are their abilities? But then it also explains some of the things that they're able to do, the daughter's tethered is super fast, and then they can crawl and, just kind of inhuman abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a quote from when Red is talking to Addie in the little classroom.
They created the tethered so they could use them to control the ones above, like puppets. But they failed, and they abandoned the tethered for generations. The tethered continued without direction. They all went mad down here.
And I was like, but control them for what? Are we weaponizing these people? What's happening? Why do we need the clone?
Yeah, there are definitely some question marks where you could argue that the plot falls a little bit flat. I thought super soldiers, because that's such a common thing that they'll go back to in shows and movies that have concepts like that. You see that in Stranger Things when they're trying to do things like that with the serum and everything. So maybe something like that. But yeah, I definitely think there could be more opportunities for deeper explanation when it comes to the plot.
Can we also talk about gross negligence on their part? They just left these people down here and just nothing bad will happen. They're fine.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, just compelled to mimic these people they don't know above. And yeah. Ugh.
Well, there's no security. They literally just go through an escalator in a fun house, and then they're just there.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
also, even trying to protect it.
Right. And there's, I'm assuming, a ton of entry points all over the United States, right?
I mean, I guess there must be.
I don't know. I just there's no way they would have just left them down there and be it's fine.
They'll figure it out.
It's a fun concept, though, and I feel like the way that they open it initially in the movie is so smart. I love the funhouse scene. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in any horror movie I've ever seen. And it starts off with this paranormal vibe, because the rain starts as soon as she gets into the funhouse, and then it's full of mirrors, which can help channel spirits, and then she's whistling, and it's like a ritual almost, like her summoning this thing. But then you find out that it's a human, if you will. So I don't know. I just think it's a really smart concept.
I wanted to ask you, too, do you guys think that she is compelled, almost as if Red took control at that moment and compelled Addie to meet her in the funhouse? Because Addie's just kind of standing there with her dad. He's sort of ignoring her, and she just gets this like dutiful look in her eyes and just starts walking down the boardwalk as if, that's what she was meant to do the whole time. And I don't know, I almost feel like she was bound to find her because there was like that pull.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, same here. I couldn't think of a reason why, but I definitely could see that happening.
Well, they said she was different from the beginning. That's one of the things that Red says is like, I wasn't like the others, which for her, it's like, well, duh, because you switched and
came
you're
Right.
above.
normal.
Yeah.
But if they're connected, then maybe there was also something really unique about Addie,
Right.
It's confusing because like Addie's actually Red.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't really
Red's
know who to
Addie,
refer.
and-
Yeah, I don't know who to refer to in this situation.
Right.
But yeah, it seems like Red is the one who led the rebellion. And I think a lot of that was because she was a normal human, if you will, and was able to talk and
Mhm.
figure a lot of things out. She knows how, to a certain extent, she knows how the world above ground works. But yeah, the orchestration of everything, I'm like, but how? How did you do it?
Mhm.
She references the miracle happening, and it's when they're both dancing simultaneously from like a
Yeah.
few years ago in a flashback. And I was like, I don't see the miracle happening. Like, they look almost identical to me, but I guess she's feeling it with more feeling. Maybe she's doing it, I don't know, somehow where the Tethered recognize that she is like more intensely feeling the music and the movement. So now they know she is different.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that's it because everyone else is mimicking the movements, but not exactly kind of a thing. So maybe because she was so precise in that dance, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, there is kind of a through line with rhythm throughout the movie because there's the scene where they're in the car and she's like, snap on the beat. And she's also snapping really weird. Like she's like
Mhm.
directly on I think it's like the downbeat or
Yeah.
something where you're
Yeah.
like, why are you snapping like that? And then like the sun snaps the same way.
Right. And then you're like, oh, that's not exactly on rhythm, dear.
Yeah. And then Red walks with this really creepy, like robotic,
Yeah.
pristine rhythm. And then there's like a lot of really good rhythmic music throughout. There's like the really funny scene with the Ophelia speaker where they're playing music. So it seems like they're trying to do some type of connection where like music has this deeper connection, like it increases the connection with your Tethered. So I don't know. There's so many things that you can like ponder about with it.
Right.
Mhm.
So to talk about the Tethered directly, do you find the possibility of having an evil twin out there frightening?
It's not okay. I can tell you that much. It's not all
I didn't
right.
give them permission to be here.
No.
Absolutely. So, okay, this seems like a good time to tell a quick story. I had this guy who wrote in on my show, and I don't remember what episode I shared it on, but he had a doppelganger experience where he was in college and he went to this bar it was somewhere in Texas. I can't remember exactly where, but he either saw the doppelganger or his friend saw his doppelganger. But like from what I remember, someone saw him, quote unquote, at a bar dancing, and he didn't quite look right. Like he was like just smiling a little too big, you know?
Oh, no.
So the way he explained it was extremely creepy. And I have covered doppelgangers on my show, and I've just always thought it's very, very terrifying because it's kind of that like, it's like a lack of control. Like, I don't have any control over this person who is quote unquote me.
Mhm.
Right.
And there's something extra creepy about that because not only is it like this paranormal thing, but it's like connected to you in some way.
Yeah, we did a whole doppelganger series, like, I don't know, many moons ago at this point,
Yeah.
when we were just podcasting. And a lot of the movies that we covered were just really concerns about identity. Like, what is this person out here doing, using my face and doing stuff that I would never do? But now everyone thinks it's me because
Mhm.
why wouldn't they?
Exactly. It makes you question sense of self. I think that's part of what makes it so scary.
Right. How about you, Alex? Do you find it frightening?
Oh yeah, same thing. I'd just be concerned. Like, what are you doing? Now everyone's going to pin this on me. Thanks. Like,
Right.
almost more annoyance than anything else. But it's a scary concept. Even like from a technology standpoint, you think of like deep fakes or like AI now. Like, that's
Oh my God.
horrifying.
Right.
It's awful.
Very.
What do you think your own tethered counterparts would be like?
I think it would be increased anxiety. So like just like me, but to the nth degree, like just cowering in the corner.
Oh no.
The way that they do the tethered, it's making me think of Carl Jung, how he talked a lot in psychology about your shadow. And I think Red also talks about how she was her shadow. So I think of like, okay, what are like the worst parts of you that you suppress and you like refuse to interact with that are like a part of you? And so for me, I would think it's like, if I'm not careful, I tend to be very outspoken and like can hurt people with my words. And so I feel like it would be like someone who's really just like savage and blunt. And I do think about the anxiety thing too, Alex, because I also am like a very anxious person. So probably like a manic person who says really mean things.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Now that you bring up the shadow part, that's really interesting because I too sometimes either come across like passionately and I come across as mean, but I'm just like really serious about like what I'm talking about. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it's a scary concept. It's kind of like when you have, I don't know if you guys have ever had dreams like this, but it's like when you have a dream about yourself and you wake up and you're like, why was I doing that in that dream? Or like, man, dream me is crazy. And it makes you like wonder how much of that is inside of you, you know?
How much is that of something that you want to be doing? Or-
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Stephanie, what would your tethered be like?
Oh, God. So for me, when I look at the tethered, I see these people that are completely focused on the tasks that the world above has given them from their like own upper society dwellers, basically. So like Zora, for instance, is a runner. But when Umbra goes to chase her, she takes her time. Like she's like, I'm going to catch this girl, no problem. And she stretches out and she is on her. And I think she is so much more focused on the task because she doesn't have outside distractions. Like she doesn't have the phone, she doesn't have the internet or even really communicating with these people. She's just going through the motions. So aside from, I guess, somehow when they break those connections and they are not mimicking those motions, I feel like she's super focused on that. And same thing with Red and dancing and everything. Like she has that meticulousness to how she walks. She's almost kind of like a wind-up doll in a way. The posture and the very quick steps with the hands together. I don't know, it just makes me think of that. So I wonder how productive my tethered would be because I am so easily distracted, one. But then also, I am also a very sleepy girl. And if there was like a tethered uprising, I feel like I would have plenty of time to get away because my tethered would find a cozy place to lay down. And, you know, she's going with untreated sleep apnea. Like, I got a chance. Like,
she'd be like the best podcaster ever, but she would also be able to sleep for like 12 hours.
Right. Like, I'll get like at least a day or two head start before she even remembers that she has to do that. What do you think happens to the tethered after the events of the film? Because we do see them pull out and they're going over like hills and mountains, and the tethered are all lined up. So they really are making hands across America here.
I couldn't imagine that they actually succeed with their plan only because of the military police, you know, anything like that, that we have that going for us. So I feel like they would make a good dent. But once we kind of get wind of what's going on, I think they'd probably be taken out if I had to guess.
Really? Because I thought since they were people, they would be like either imprisoned or I don't know if they'd have to like try to reintegrate them into society because so many people have been taken out. Because assuming when they join the line, they've already killed their counterpart.
Yeah, let me back up. They try to cover it up as much as possible, I would have to guess, because obviously
the government covering things up?
Yeah,
What?
right. Yeah. So
Unheard of.
the brief explanation was they're taken out, but they're gonna either be taken back, caged, experimented on. I mean, if the government is who created these things, which I could only assume is, they would just take them back or do something with them. But they would try to cover it up for sure.
I think so too.
I could see them putting them as plants, I guess you could say, like throughout the government or in certain positions, like using them to their advantage because they're already out in the world, or putting them in prison if they're not like compliant, just trying to further control them. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the movie, you see like little explosions and the helicopters. So it's implying that they're like trying to kill them. I don't necessarily think that the Tethered were successful, but I could definitely see the government once again using them, abusing them.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's over, they'll just delete any news footage of it, of all of this. They're just like, yeah, don't talk about that day.
That's another thing I wonder about a lot throughout the movie, and I still don't fully get it, is the Hands Across America concept, because it opens with that TV commercial about ending world hunger.
Mm-hmm.
Hands Across America. And I'm like, okay, I don't get the symbolism.
I looked that up.
Okay.
I'm so happy I found it.
Steph is on it.
Because I am like still so confused about that.
It's really interesting tie-ins because they want to show the goodness of duality, of like having this like twin balancing the good and the dark sides of yourself. So there's duality, there's the story that plays in the background of the Funhouse. And there's also this Hands Across America thing, which was a 1986 charity event meant to show national togetherness by having people hold hands across the U.S. In reality, it was largely symbolic and did little to address the deeper social problems it claimed to represent. The film highlights the idea that America presents an image of unity while ignoring the people beneath it, the marginalized, exploited, or unseen, and that symbolic gestures don't fix structural injustice.
Wow, that just gave me chills, actually. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I did get that sense of marginalization being a strong symbol throughout the movie. I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me like respect the movie even more.
Right. And Red specifically does say it wouldn't be enough to kill you. Like, I had to make a statement. So it was to recognize these are all those people that you've tried to hide away. And obviously, the Hands Across America isn't going to fix anything, but
so that was
what
that was an actual event.
Yeah, in 1986 charity event. Yeah.
Wow.
And also, even like not purposefully forgetting the marginalized people, it's almost like, what's it called? Activism when you don't actually do anything. Or like you post about
like
something. Virtue signaling. Yeah, stuff like that is also like, even if you think you're doing something good, you're not actually trying.
Right.
It's not sincere. Yeah, it's more for like, hey, look at me. I did Google the creation story, Hopi creation story that they were playing in the Funhouse last night, because I heard that audio and I was like, what is that? It has to mean something, knowing how Jordan Peele is. And I didn't read the whole thing, but the first line of the Hopi creation story is, in the beginning, there were only two. And throughout the whole movie, especially at the beginning, you see all of these couples, 2 by 2 as she's walking. And so it's kind of that through line of togetherness, two people. And then there's a lot of symbolism throughout the movie of creation and rebirth. So I thought that was a really cool thing that they added in.
Yeah, the Hopi people, a Native American tribe who believe their ancestors emerged from earlier worlds in the present world through a sacred opening in the earth. A wise grandmother spirit known as Spider Woman or Spider Grandmother protected them and taught them how to live humbly and in balance. When the people were still weak and the land was full of dangers, twin brothers were born and raised by their grandmother. When they were grown, she sent them out to make the world safe by defeating or transforming the forces that threatened humanity. So if like there was some sort of terrible monster, they'd be like a tree, a rock. And afterwards, the brothers were placed at opposite ends of the world to keep it stable, while the grandmother spirit continues to watch over the people and remind them that all life is connected, like strands in a web. So it like goes back to the connection of the tunnel systems and the need for balance between these two forces.
I looked up Jeremiah 11:11 also because they do that 11:11 symbolism throughout. And there's so much foreshadowing in the movie, but Jeremiah 11:11, it's about a reckoning coming, and it's going to be like tortuous. No one can stop what's coming.
Right.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot of really smart things and that's why this movie's so fun to rewatch. There's so many smart things that are done where you'll catch more and more every time of like, oh, maybe that's why they did this and that. And something I didn't even catch when I watched this time is that a guy who's holding the Jeremiah 11:11 sign is the one who's, being taken out on the stretcher. I knew about that, but his tethered is the one that Jason sees on the beach.
Yeah, he's the start of the
first
line.
one. Yeah, he's the start of the line. I always wondered who that was. I was like, what? Like, I knew he was a tethered, but I was like, who is that? And then I was like, oh, that's
the guy.
Tethered. That's
Yeah.
the guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not realize that till just a second. So there we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't catch it till this time. That's the thing, is you see it every time, and then she picks up the drawing that Jason drew, and she's like, where did you see this, or blah blah blah. And so he drew the Jeremiah 11:11 guy on the beach with his bloody hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also noticed the duality in this too. We see like the 11:11 symbol. We see a lot of like shadows. For instance, we're seeing a spider crawl across the surface, and then it's like right in front of a replica of some sort of like little spider figurine. So I looked up duality in numerology, and it teaches that denial of one side leads to imbalance, just as the neglected tethered rise violently. The eventual confrontation is a chance for acknowledgement and integration, even if messy and frightening. And I was like, wait. But like, couldn't we really call it integration if they're stabbing each other, like then taking out the other one? And apparently, yeah, you can, because it's still trying to make right the injustice.
Well, and like, from a psychology perspective, that could also be the argument of this is what happens when you don't acknowledge injustice or you don't acknowledge parts of self. Like in shadow work, that's one of the things that they talk about all the time and that Carl Jung studied, is like the importance of acknowledging and respecting all parts of self, recognizing that those shadows serve some purpose. They're not good or bad. They just are. And yeah, from like the societal perspective, when we don't acknowledge injustice, it leads to violence. So I think it's a really cool thing to talk about. And I love when concepts like this are explored in art forms. So it's really cool.
Do you think there's also additional layer there, because everyone who's being killed, the people up top, don't even know that there's the people below. They don't know that the tethered exists. So is there a component of people being hurt that aren't responsible? Does that make sense? Because like if my tethered showed up, I didn't know you existed. Like, why am I being killed? Kind of a thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that to a certain extent earlier. I was like, oh, the concept is so interesting that the shadow, if you will, their whole experience is doing what their light or whatever their person up top is doing. It seems like they don't actually have much of any control, and that's their whole existence, right? And then the people up top, they have no idea that these shadows exist except for Addie and Red. So I was thinking about that concept earlier, and I was just like, I wonder how much of that is true. Like, that's kind of the way I perceived it, but it does make me wonder if there's more people out there in this universe like Addie and Red who know or who have a deeper connection, and how much of who's responsible for what, like who makes what decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because in theory, or the way I think about it, if they switched, then is Addie controlling from the bottom, the one at top? Like, where did that switch over? It's kind of confusing.
Yeah. That's why I almost felt like Kid Addie was compelled to meet Red, because she almost snapped into control at that moment. Like, I'm going to be the one above, and I'm going to be the one oppressing you. And maybe that's where it went.
Yeah. I was going to get into Lupita's voice. I think that's so scary and interesting, the way that they went about picking her voice for that character. And, it's interesting because none of them talk except for her. And it makes sense that she talks because she was from up top. But then you also see how being down below has impacted her, because she loses a lot of her ability to speak and her voice gets all messed up. So there's like little things like that where it, again, kind of makes you wonder how much of that sense of self is up top and down below. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then also when they switch, doesn't the tether strangle her initially?
Just like she did when she was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well,
she does.
at
And
the
then that's how
beginning-
she kills her at the end,
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
literally silencing somebody. So I wonder if that also damaged her vocal cords
Maybe,
when that
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
I remember Googling that the first time I saw the movie because I'm a speech pathologist and I treat a lot of voice disorders. And I was like, what is this voice that she's doing? Because it reminds me of spasmodic dysphonia. And that's what like RFK Jr. has.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I Googled it, I remember reading this article that said that they were inspired by medical videos of spasmodic dysphonia. And I was like, wow, that's so cool that they did the research and like looked at this medical diagnosis and she was able to do it like that. And I think it's very effective. It makes it so much creepier. And it just that combined with like her facial expressions and everything, her body, like the way she walks.
When
It's
she
so
like gets
good.
real close and she does like the little finger
Oh,
tap, like
ew, yeah.
I'm like, hate that.
Yeah. Hate that. Yeah. No, she's very scary. That scene where they're all holding hands outside the house and they all, go in for the first time. It's so scary. And one of the things I was wondering is that surprise, right? Like finding out that, oh my gosh, they're us. How much more shocking would that be if you went in blind to the theater and saw that, Because I feel like if I remember correctly, the way they advertised it, you kind of knew that already. But
Yeah, I think they said in the trailer, they're us or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
yeah.
But I also noticed in that scene, Gabe is the only one that won't accept it. He's like, we can go to the ATM. My car's outside.
Sir,
It's so funny.
It's way past that.
yeah, we have bigger
Gabe's my
problems.
favorite.
Yes.
Gabe cracks me up. He's my favorite. I love the whole scene where he goes outside and he has his baseball bat and he's like, now I thought I already done told y'all. Hey, if you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. And they're just not moving at all. And he's like, oh, hell no. It's so good.
Right.
And
yeah,
he cracks
said
me up.
something about like, who's afraid of a family? Like,
Yeah. That part reminds me a lot of The Strangers, which is another movie that really scared me when I saw it for the first time. It's just like this random family that shows up at your house to kill you. Like, that's super scary.
right. Yeah, I think any sort of invasion scene, because your home is your safe spot, like, so to think about people just coming in for whatever reason and that lack of control and that shift of balance like that, terrifying. Yeah, so every
Yeah.
time, like, I've seen it a billion times, so I know that they're gonna get in, but see them at the end of the driveway, I'm like, oh no, I hope they don't get in. Like,
And they get in with the hide key.
right.
What damn hide a key? What kind of white shit?
I really liked the family also that they're staying at their house. I can't remember their characters' names.
Kitty and I think Josh is the
Yeah.
husband.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Kitty's character, and I like that actress a lot. I think she's always really effective in the things that I've watched her in. And I think that's another like surprise is when their doppelgangers show up. And because like I remember watching it for the first time and just for some reason assuming that it was only them.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, wait.
No, it's everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love watching Kitty too, just because she's in on the plan, obviously, but she's also doing her own thing, like Kitty Doppelganger. Like when she sits and she's just putting on makeup and she's like, I'm just the prettiest girl. And and then she cuts her face. I was like, oh, I remember when they're sitting on the beach, she hints to Addie, like, oh, I just had like a little work done. But her face is cut up like she did it herself. And also when she hears Josh and Gabe fighting outside, she's like practicing her emotions, it seems. She screams because she hears Josh screaming, like, oh no, like, oh, what is happening? And then she just starts laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost wonder if it's because Kitty and Addie were on the beach talking about their husbands at one point, and she's like, I want to kill him every day. And she's like, oh, like normal.
Yeah, I wondered about that when she was cutting her face. I was like, wait, why is she doing that? But that makes sense.
Yeah. She was obsessed with beauty, vanity, I guess. So that makes sense that her doppelganger was also concerned with it.
Yeah. I love the twins also and how they're like cartwheeling through the house and like
Right.
doing handstands and stuff.
Yeah.
When the one is like hiding behind the son and daughter and she's like doing a handstand against the wall and you just see her feet drop, you're like, oh my God, no.
That's so funny too, because again, seen it before, but then I'm watching them in the hallway and I was like, oh good, she's not there. And then I see her feet fall back and I was like, oh, she was there.
Yeah, and then she springs up like the freaking exorcist. It's crazy.
These things are so nimble. They are apex predators. The way they move, I'm like, you must stretch a lot down there because that's crazy.
What else are they doing down there? You know?
Yeah, I guess so. Do their daily stretches.
She was climbing up a tree when they got in the house.
That's true. Yeah. And then you think, like, they're living in the tunnel. How do they have access to trees? She doesn't even know what a tree is, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Those are the things I have a hard time connecting on my own. Like, how did Addie get, like, all these red jumpsuits? How did she get all these scissors? Like, when did she break from the whole control of Addie upstairs?
The way I kind of interpreted it also is that in a way they're living vicariously through their up top person. One of the examples I think of is Gabe's tethered Abraham. So when Gabe gets the boat, he's like, oh, the engine goes out and you have to just tap it. And he's demonstrating. And then Abraham does the same thing. When the boat goes out, he starts tapping it in the exact way. So it's like Abraham is seeing the world through his eyes in some sense. I think it's just like muted. And they kind of demonstrate that with Addie in Red because she can see the carnival and she can see everything happening, but it's like muted and kind of sinister and everyone has like these dark expressions on their faces. And so I think there's certain things where they know how it works up there, but it's distorted.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
just love thinking about, like, how does that all work? When do they break from the cycle of having to duplicate these movements every day?
Yeah.
Like, do they not sleep? And then that's when she's like, okay, class time. This is what's going to happen when we go up.
Well, and I mean, that's, I just keep going back to Carl Jung again. There's that whole concept with his work of like, sometimes the shadow takes over and comes out. And then there's your true self in his work where it's like, that's when you're most like yourself, but there's these parts that come and go and sometimes they're in control and sometimes they're not. And so I think that makes a lot of sense with how they play it out in the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, since you mentioned A Reckoning, the opening choral piece titled Anthem, where they like span out and show all these rabbits, isn't a traditional song with recognizable lyrics. But I hear from choir, like the do, re, mi sort of kind of things, but I'm like, but they're not doing like the full do a deer or a female deer and let's get all the way back to do. They're kind of like changing syllables. And they confirmed with composer Michael Apple, who wrote it, it was a nonsense language with no real words. So the audience would respond to the emotion rather than any literal meaning. That ambiguity helps communicate that a group of people are organizing and about to rise up, but doesn't tell you the purpose. You just emotionally feel it. And I thought that was really interesting because I love that choral piece. And whenever one of the tethered, like when Kitty's family gets killed by their tethered, I think they play that choir music again too. It just shows like, oh, well, now it's working. Now we're doing it.
I thought it was Latin. I just assumed when I was listening to it, but that's really cool knowing that it's just a nonsense language. And that's essentially how the tethered communicate, is like through grunts and weird syllables. So that's really cool.
That makes sense. They could have been singing it. Who knew?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
I love a creepy children's choir piece, like in Coraline. There's one in the beginning of The Lost Boys. Even in one of Taylor Swift's songs, it's called "It's Nice to Have a Friend." It's very chill, very cute, like romantic, but it's got like creepy children singing behind her.
Coraline is one of my favorite movies. I watch it every year, and that opening song is very similar now that I think about it. And like the dissonance, and I can't remember what it's called, but there's something in horror movies they do a lot where they have the same 4 chords over and over again. to incite doom. There's a musical term for it. I can't believe I can't remember it. But they do it in The Shining. The devil's interval is the common name for the tritone, a musical interval spanning 3 whole tones or 6 semitones. It's known for its dissonant, unsettling sound and was historically referred to as diabolus in musica, which is Latin for devil in music.
Oh, okay.
And it's been going on for forever. Like, there's songs from the Middle Ages where they would do that. But anytime that you hear it, there's like this psychological thing where it like incites doom, where you know something bad's about to happen.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that explains why they used it then. And I also wanted to confirm, because of the beginning quote of the tunnels and stuff, that in fact the United States really does have thousands of miles of abandoned or restricted tunnels, including old subway lines, utility corridors, storm drains, mining tunnels, military bunkers, and Cold War era infrastructure. These exist across the country, especially beneath major cities. Peele has said that he wants his viewers to feel unsettled by realizing that the premise isn't pure fantasy. The horror comes from recognizing that the country already has unseen spaces and, by extension, unseen lives beneath its surface.
Yeah. There's tunnels like that all over the world.
Yep.
There's a lot in Washington, D.C. also. And there's a whole tunnel system underneath the Denver airport. And anytime that you hear about tunnels, there's always this like conspiracy, right? Like, well, why? What are they doing under there? I talked about the Paris catacombs on my 100th episode, and there's an entire tunnel system, like a whole second city underneath Paris. And it's a very creepy concept because you're like, but why? And what's down there? And what are they doing?
In Paris catacombs, letting tourists die sometimes, like, because they just wander off.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the gates of hell, it's fine,
Right.
It's fine. It's fine.
Typical Paris things.
I wanted to get into some character motivation and theories before we start with our ratings. I wanted to let you guys know that Peele saw the characters of the film as an archetypal foursome, with Adelaide being the leader, Zora being the warrior, Gabe being the gesture fool, and Jason being the wizard magician. And he also described Red in terms that helped Lupita Nyong'o build her movement. She's both regal and unsettling, like a queen and like a cockroach slipping out of sight. That imagery helped her shape Red's stillness, sudden motions, and eerie intensity. And Lupita admitted part of the challenge was holding both sides of the argument while keeping each one physically and mentally distinct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so archetypes are part of Carl Jung's research.
Oh,
so
gosh.
that makes a lot of sense. So I did a shadow work journal this past year, and it has this whole page on all the different archetypes and identify parts of self and like different characteristics and how they tie to different archetypes. And so those are archetypes that are in there. So that's really interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
now I'm like, okay, I wonder how much Jordan Peele knows about his stuff, because I mean, he's referencing it. So
A lot, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Okay, and do we think that Jason's also a tethered or just very much like his mother?
I just don't know when they would have switched and why Adelaide, the one that we know, right, throughout the movie,
Yeah.
like, how heartless would you have to be to do that? Like, just to knowingly switch for why,
Yeah.
It's, I don't think so, because it just doesn't seem like something she would do. And then, I don't know. I think no, but I wouldn't, I guess, be surprised.
Well, there's that point where he wanders off on the beach and he's right by the funhouse, and you see that he sees that tethered guy, but you don't see what happens before he finds him.
Yeah,
so I wonder, it could have happened then, or it could have happened last year, because they hadn't been there in a while since his grandma died. So I don't know. I go back and forth, but I just think about that scene at the end where they're in the car together and Jason looks at Addie and is like, there's something off about you, but he like
Yeah.
accepts it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's one of those things, because when I first saw the movie, I'm like, I'm mad at Adelaide for doing what she did as a kid, but I'm like, well, she's still the same character that we got to know. She's still the loving mother that we got to know. Because I took that the same way. Jason's looking at her like, I know something's off with you, but it's still his mother at the end of the day. It's not like,
Accepting it.
Yeah, I don't
that's
know.
Just that's just her history, I guess. Like,
Mhm.
That's the thing is like, I think that's kind of the point of stuff like this is that they're not good or bad. They're not good or evil. They just are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's parts of her that you see throughout the movie that you really like. She is a good mom. She's protective. She has good instincts. She is trying to like negotiate and de-escalate the situation. And you see how frustrated she is with Gabe, where she's like, you're not listening, you don't understand. But then she's also like very like calm and classy. Like there's good traits about her too. So
right. For me, I go back and forth because I do see what like Alex is talking about, like why would she switch him? I don't know if it would be like a purposeful thing. Maybe that's just who she got and she wants to protect them because they're of her in a way. She gets out of the car when they throw Umbra from the car and she's dying in the tree and she's like, it's okay. Like she doesn't touch her because she knows she's a little psycho. But she's also like, poor thing, you're dying. Like I don't want you to be in pain. Like you're gonna be okay, even though she's dying. So either way, I think she recognizes that they are all her children because they are of each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught that too. And you can see how upset she is when Pluto goes into the fire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think they were switched on the beach, but that was like a trauma response just because we're exactly in the place where it happened. And of course, this is the one kid that wanders away and is right in front of the place where it happened.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that they even went to the beach revisited this house. Like when you initially first see the movie, you don't know why she's hesitant about going to the beach, why she seems kind of like in a bad mood. But now it's like, oh, she doesn't want to be close to where she switched lives with this girl in case she comes to try to take it back. It's pretty obvious that she's afraid that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I wonder how the days leading up to the trip were as she tried to negotiate, like, we could go to Disney, somewhere else, anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere, please.
Yeah, do we have to?
Right. And if Jason's not a Tethered, do you think he for sure knows that Addie was and is now afraid of her? Because he puts his mask down, too, as if, like, he needs to defend himself.
I don't think he's afraid of her, but I do think he has an inkling that she is a Tethered.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Because
agree.
now he's interacted with these things. Now he knows how they work. And, like, he still knows it's his mom.
Mhm.
So, yeah. I don't think he's scared, but I definitely think he's aware.
Yeah. I think he recognizes because he's seen her kill Red, obviously. And then he also walked in on her killing the twin that comes back. And both times she's like grunting. It's kind of like animalistic. When she kills Red, she's clicking her teeth in a weird way, too.
I saw that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, don't like that. Like, and that's definitely creepy. And she's definitely one of them at this point.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I think that's what he recognizes there. But Alex,
Yeah.
did you have any different thoughts with that?
No, I agree. I don't think he's afraid of her. I think he's questioning things at the
Yeah.
most. So.
Oh, I did just think this one thing was interesting. Again, with symbolism, the rabbits. So, they talk about how they experimented with them down there. So it makes sense that they're there. But rabbits also, I think this was in an article about Us that I read, they often symbolize rebirth. So that fits into the intentions of the Tethered also.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I think it's in pagan religion, too. Rabbits are symbols of fertility. Like our Easter is like the rabbit and like flowers and stuff like that for them because it's fertility, rebirth of nature.
Yeah. And then just one thing I wondered about was the electricity going out every time that they show up. I'm wondering what that is about. Because it happens when they show up to Kitty and Josh's beach house, and then it also happens when they show up to the house that Addie and all of them are staying at.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe do we think that Addie, like child Addie going in like at 5 or whatever age she was, would know how to turn off the power to the house?
Yeah, I don't know. But you were talking about that creation story and how it's like this magical entrance from another dimension. And so if we talk about like interdimensional stuff and like glitches, that could definitely mess with power and stuff like that. So I do think there could be some like kind of paranormal stuff tied in with this whole thing also.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue, like, even though there are tunnels everywhere across the US, that the funhouse entrance is the magical
Yeah, the portal.
entrance
Mhm.
that they were talking about in the
Yeah.
story, too.
Yeah.
That's a lot to think about.
Mhm.
You can go on forever on this,
It's
honestly.
so fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so fun. That's why I like Jordan Peele so much. You know, he is coming out with a video game.
Oh, really? No, I
Mhm.
didn't know.
I did
What
not
is it
know.
supposed to be about?
Let me look up the name of it. I watched the trailer for it the other day, and it is so scary.
Oh, great.
It's like, I will be playing this, but I'm going to be so scared.
Yeah.
Right.
And the animation looks amazing.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I'm excited.
So it's called OD,
Mm-hmm.
and let me see when this is supposed to come out.
OD. Wait. I know that. Is that the Hideo Kojima? Is he part of that?
Yes, so it's him and Jordan Peele.
I
So
do know.
Jordan Peele
Yes.
co-wrote it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it looks amazing.
Yeah, Sophia Lilith isn't Lilith
Mhm.
from the It movies. She's in it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That looks creepy as shit.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to come out later this year. But yeah, if you guys, are a fan of Jordan Peele and you like video games, this is definitely one you want to play, or at least like go on YouTube and watch the trailer.
And
Okay.
I could tell
yeah,
you it's going to be weird as hell knowing
Oh, sure.
Hideo
Oh,
Kojima at
yes.
least, but also Jordan
Yeah.
Peele. Like, that's going to be bizarre, to say
Oh,
the
it says
least.
the release date has not been revealed yet.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay, well, stay tuned.
Okay. Ooh, immersive horror like Silent Hills playable teaser. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so scary. I've never played Silent Hill, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Maybe Charlie can play it on Twitch or something.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll just watch it.
I love-
That'll be better for me.
Love horror movies. Video games is what get me. I stream Phasmophobia every once in a while, and sometimes I just shut it off as soon as I walk through the door, if you know what that game is. So I'm like, never mind.
I have not played that, but there is something just extra immersive about horror games versus a horror movie where it's just like, oh my God, the movie is scary enough, but now I'm like in it, you know?
Mhm, yeah.
When I first played Until Dawn, I was shaking because I was like, oh no, my choices impact all of this.
Yes, it's so intense. I felt
Yeah.
that way too.
Let's get into our ratings. We're rating each category 1 out of 3 to get our overall scary rating. Alex, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I could start. So for the plot category, I gave it a 3 out of 3. Suspense, I gave it a 2 out of 3. Atmosphere, I just gave it 1 out of 3. Villain, 2 out of 3. And I did give it my extra special point because I love this movie. I think it's scary. So total of 9. I did want to talk about Villain really quick, only because I almost gave it a 3, but because of the issues that I have with the movie, like some of the plot holes, I guess you could say. And also, one thing I didn't mention is I also do have sympathy for the Tethered, that it just kind of drops that overall rating down. While they're still scary, I feel bad for them in a sense. So, like, I didn't give it a full 3. Just because I'm like, oh man, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, even though
Right.
it's not the greatest thing you're doing, but I kind of sympathize. So that's why I gave it the 2.
Right. And when Red and Addie are talking towards the end too with the classroom scene, she says something about like, I've thought about you all my life and how you could have taken me with you. And that would have restored the balance in a way. Like if she would have just brought her up onto the boardwalk and been like, hey, I found this girl that looks just like me and and incorporated her into society. Like that would have been the start of integrating these unseen people. But she was selfish.
Yeah.
I gave plot a 3, suspense a 1, atmosphere a 1, villain a 2, and for the extra point, I said, of course, because this is one of my favorite Jordan Peele movies.
So
Love it. You, Kaydra?
8 out of 13?
Yeah, that's an 8. And Kaydra?
Yeah, so because of some of the plot holes, I gave the plot a 2 because it's like a really cool concept, but there's still a couple things that fall short for me where I'm like, I wish we knew more about the Tethered and their backstory. So, a prequel or something would be really cool. Suspense, I gave it a 2. There's a couple things where I'm like, oh, they could have like dragged that out a little bit more, but still like good kills. And I always appreciate a movie that isn't too gory. Like, I don't think you need it. So a solid 2. I gave Atmosphere a 2 also. I feel like there's a lot of horror movies where it's like, oh, it's in the woods, or it's like these things that are just so, they're always used. And so it being like this idyllic beach and just like a normal town, I think is actually really effective and unique because it relates more to just like the daily human experience. So I thought that was cool. I gave the villain a 3. I think it's a really unique concept for a villain. I think Lupita does an amazing job. And the Tethered, like, yes, I do have empathy for them. But I think that's also something like, that's one of my favorite things is the villain that you still like them in a sense. And I love that they have some humor too. Like when Josh does the little hair, like he puts his hand in his hair and he's like, just kidding, you can't shake my hand. Or,
Right.
You know, and they're putting the lipstick on. I love when there's a little bit of humor in a villain. And I also gave it an extra point because, again, love Jordan Peele. This is my favorite movie he's done. So I didn't add them up. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So a solid 10.
Okay, great.
Atmosphere, you make a good point. I almost gave that a 2 only because of the tunnels and the liminal space quality of that. It almost has like a Backrooms vibe.
Yes.
Mostly because of the color, I would say. But the bulk of the movie doesn't take place there. So I was like, I'll give it a 1.
Yeah, the tunnels are really cool.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I gave it atmosphere at least a 1 because I had to acknowledge the tunnels. If we were just in a beach house, I would just be like, nah, beach house. Looks nice.
Yeah.
Would love to be there.
Lovely, right. Especially now
like,
when it's 13 degrees outside.
I love a scary movie in the woods. Like The Ritual is one of my favorite movies. So there's things like that where it is very effective, but it's also been done so many times. And I can't really think of a horror movie that I've seen or that I've really enjoyed that has just such a simple place. And I don't know, I think it works because, again, it ties to just human experience. So it doesn't have to be this creepy woods drop or like this cabin or whatever.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Kaydra, do you want to remind everyone where they can find you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So Perplexity, a mystery podcast. You can get it anywhere podcasts are available, wherever you're listening to this. Or if you prefer video, I also do YouTube as well. And I would love to have you.
Yes, everyone go check out Kaydra.
Alex,
That would be great.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a like and be sure to subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes.
You can find us on social media using 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.